My talk today, we're doing a series of 12 powers on the 12 powers. So I'm talking today on divine power. I talked last week on strength, and this week I'm going to be speaking on divine order, and I'm going to turn it also into how we use our divine order with our will, because every order bounces off another order in order for us to be in order. Okay. Now, when we talk about divine order, what are we actually saying? What is divine order? And as usual, I had gone to the book and looked through the literature in the books on what divine order is. And what it is, it's just the natural order of things in the world. The seasons change, the grass, trees, sprouts, some parts of the world have a rainy season, some parts of the world have a dry season. God prioritized. That's the way I'm looking at divine order, in order for me to have it help me. You see, my understanding of the 12 powers, and we all have them, they are of no use to me if I don't know how to use it. If I can't use it, it's just mere words. So I have to know, how do I use divine order? Well, the first thing I have to do, I have to learn and know how to prioritize. Now, and if you're anything like me, I can sometimes get very chaotic, okay? Given more than one or two tasks to do, I'm kind of scattered. And when I get like that, what I do is I remember that I have a power that I can put into place to bring things back into sequence for me. So I have to prioritize. Now, prioritizing sometimes is a chore, because I am involved in a 12-step program that says first things first. What is first for me in terms of what I'm doing? So what prioritizing to me means, and it might mean to you, what is important to you? Everything cannot be of the utmost importance. I have to look at things as what comes first. What is the most important? So when I get into the mode of thinking that everything is important, then I bring myself back to say, what do I need to work on that's going to fulfill my dream, my fantasy, what I'm trying to do, what I want to expose? What is it that I have to do? So one of the things that I have to do is get quiet. I have to get still. I have to quiet the monkey chatter that goes on in our minds. The monkey chatter that tells me sometimes I can multitask. Now, there are times when I can, most times I can't. It depends on what I'm doing. And I have to know what I'm doing and what I need time to do alone by itself, and what I can put into maybe one or two other things. So I found a system that works for me. The system that I use is that I go to God first. It doesn't matter to me what I have to do. I knew that and it seems like, and I don't know if it's like this for you, but it's like this for me. There are some weeks when nothing is going on, nobody calls me to do anything, there's nothing on my agenda, my little schedule book, because I don't use the phone because I've learned not to do things that's going to cause me chaos. So I leave the phone alone when it's time to schedule, and I write because I have a schedule book, and I write. And some weeks there's nothing. And then let one person ask me to do something, and here comes 3 or 4 or 5 other people. Okay? That's how it seems to work for me. So what I have to do is I get quiet. I don't figure out right then and there what is the most important, because then my mind will tell me everything is important. So I meditate. How do I meditate? I stop the monkey chatter. I sit quiet. I go into a quiet room where there's nobody but me. I sit in a chair, I get comfortable, and I ask God for peace. Because when I have peace of mind, then ideas will come to me as to what to do first. And so that's how I begin to prioritize. It is not so much of what I think is important, it's what is important. Because if it was left up to me, everything is important, okay? Now, once I do that, I say to myself, how are you going to go about that task? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And so, do I need help? Divine order is asking for help if I need it. I was never one to ask anybody for help. It was very difficult for me to ask for help because my human self didn't want you to think I didn't know everything. See, I wanted you to think I knew everything. And I got to the root of that. In my divine order, I had to get to the root of why was it so difficult for me to ask someone else to help me. There's a reason for everything. That is divine order as well. If you find yourself stuck with not being able to do certain things that you know would help you, but you just can't bring yourself to do it, stop, meditate, and let God come to you and tell you why. And be willing to put on your big girl or big boy panties or pants and accept the truth. And the truth for me was, I didn't want you to know I didn't know, although I didn't know. I didn't know, but I didn't want you to know I didn't know. So I had to get over that. I had to overcome some things. That, again, is divine order. Now, when I could overcome my own vulnerability, my own egotistical beliefs about myself, because there's so many things that I don't know, then I could get the help that I need from you. I also had to look at what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Am I asking for divine order to be for selfish means? Am I looking only to help Evelyn? Or am I looking to do something to help someone else? I have found, and I spoke on this last week for a short minute, that when I am doing something, it doesn't matter what the task is, but when I can tie it in to helping someone else, everything runs a lot more smoother than when I am selfishly going about trying to get this for me and me alone. So I've learned in my quest in looking at what divine order is, I have to give. And I have to give lovingly, not grudgingly, but lovingly. That is why I've learned in Unity that when we call for or ask for love offerings, if you can't give it lovingly, don't give it. I had to learn because I would say, well, because I'd peek over and see what somebody else was doing, was writing on their check. And then I say, well, maybe I need to give a little more myself, but I can't. So when I say I can't, now I've set up this limitation and this barrier in which it doesn't matter how much money I got. I am not following the law, the natural order of things, that I am a rich person and whatever I give is in abundance. It doesn't matter what I give as long as I'm giving it lovingly, because I found out in a loving, divine way that I get it back in so many more ways than which I gave. And it's not always monetary. Sometimes it's never monetary. Sometimes it's good health. Sometimes it's family, good health for the family. Sometimes it's driving in the car and just missing an accident. Sometimes it's so many ways that God gives back to me that I have to understand it is all in divine order. I was told by a Unity minister to stop looking at accidents if I saw an accident, I'd slow down because I want to see this accident. I want to see, And Mary Alice said, do not look at any accidents on the road. What you say is divine order is now established and maintained in my life and in that person's life. And keep on going, because what you focus on comes to you. So I don't look at, and I'll tell you something, it's been a long time since I've had any fender benders. It really has. And I've noticed that since and this was years ago when she told me this, but I practice in divine order, not looking. I see it from the corner of my eye, but I don't slow down. And I say divine order is now established and maintained in my life and in the person's life that's in that accident. And I have found that, I haven't had a fender bender in a long time. And I'm not to say that I'm bragging about that, but I'm saying the order. See, we want to understand that things are in order. They're not happenstance. Things don't just happen. They happen just. Nothing in our world just happens. We think it happens like that, but there is an order behind everything that goes on in my life and in your life. And if we stop to look at it and not be afraid to look at it, then we can benefit from it. And that is what I do. And that is what I know you can do. I try as best as I can to stay in the consciousness of reality. My order is reality. Now, a lot of us I know when you talked about reality, count me out. Because I never wanted to be where my feet were. My feet is in order. My feet will take me to the next location in an orderly fashion. But I never wanted to be where I was. So I could never get where I was going. Could never get where I was going. I had to stop. I had to be okay with what was going on in my world, in my hula hoop at that time, and not be concerned with what was going on in your hula hoop. See, one of the things that I find when I get out of divine order and get out of reality, I am more concerned about your life and who you going out with and what are you doing and so on and so forth, and not concerned with myself. My business on this universe is to be concerned with me first, so that I can be and have something to give to you. When I'm concerned with you first and not myself first, then I'm leaving myself wide open for all types of accidents and bad things to happen, and they do. I'm very clear on what is mine to do and what is mine not to do, and that is order. You know, I never, Judy knows Reverend Mary Alice, and when I always relate to Mary Alice when I talk, because her and Eric Butterworth, I don't care what you came to them with, this was wrong, that was happening, this wasn't. The first thing Eric would say, divine order. See it in divine order. Mary Alice would say, see it in divine order. What in the world were they talking about? I didn't understand that. Call it all good, see it all good, and call it all joy. And see what happens when you do that. Do not, being in divine order means do not dwell on negativity. Because we all are going to experience some negative stuff in this world. None of us is going to get out of this world alive. So we're all going to experience things that are negative to us. But what are we dwelling on? Are we dwelling on the good? See, I don't believe, and Mary Alice used to tell me this, and so did Eric, do you believe in a good God? Because if you believe in a loving and good God, then when adversities happen, you will see it that it came to edify you. It came to raise you up. It may not feel good. It may not smell good. It may not look good at the time, but it came to raise you up. If you believe in a loving, divine, ordered God, a God that loves you and has you on the face of the earth for a purpose. Each one of us are here for a purpose. There's nobody hanging out, okay? And some of us think we just hanging out. You're not hanging out. Whatever you're doing, there is a divine order and purpose behind it. Now, you may not know what that is. So it doesn't feel good to you and you're not in touch with it or in tune with it. But in getting yourself quiet enough to understand why this is happening, what it is happening for, and how it can benefit you, that will put you back in the realm of divine order. So when we look at life, or when I look at life, you know, I try my best, and I know you all do the same. We want to feel good. We want good things to happen to us. We want the best of the best. One of the situations and problems is in my life, sometimes I don't know what that is. See, because I'm not following an orderly God, I'm looking at something and it's looking good, but it's not good. And I'm looking at something over here that's not looking good, but is good. So how do I differentiate? How do I know the difference? I have to get still. I have to get quiet. I have to let spirit guide me. I, like a 1-year-old, sometimes I go through situations and you go through situations, we don't know how to walk. We don't know how to walk. We take a couple of steps and we fall down. But if we are in touch with the God of our understanding, then we pull ourselves up, we brush ourselves off, and we start all over again. So I can't tell you how many times I have started all over again. You see, at 83, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up yet. I have not a clue. I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up. So I allow the God of my understanding to help me. And there's been bumpy roads along the way. There's been smooth roads along the way. But behind all roads is an order. There is an orderly fashion that I have to follow. And what is that fashion? That fashion is spirit. That fashion is God. And as long as I do that, I'm not afraid to fall down no more. I'm going to fall. Anything that knocks me down is knocking me down to slow me down, to show me what to do when I get up. Okay? When you get up and we all did it. We were all crawling around before we walked. And watch a little baby. They learn how to walk. They will pull down everything that's in their way to stand up. And then they go 2 more feet and they fall down again. And if you in their way, they pull things down to help them until they can stand up strong. And before you know it, they're walking across the room. Who does that? You don't walk for them. They walk for themselves through the Spirit of a good God. How do they learn to do that? How do they learn that when they fall, pull up something, pull an idea out, do something so that you can stand up again strong and then you can walk. And if you fall down again, you do the same thing. So I leave you with a prayer that has helped me so many, many times, and many of you have heard this prayer. I think it's a universal prayer. I say it at least 2 or 3 times a day. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Be blessed and thank you.